first heard it, I was like, that's really a weird concept, and it was strange to me. But the more I have tried it with my clients and worked on it with myself, I see that it's like the first concept that I've truly just loved in counseling. I find it to be really, really effective and just brings you some peace in your life. So the concept is, it's called reparenting yourself. And it doesn't mean that you had bad parents. It doesn't mean that you have to go back and rewrite all of history. All it is saying, reteaching yourself emotional processes that maybe your parents didn't even have, or they didn't even model for you, or they were never modeled it. So it's not like you have to throw away everything your parents taught you, but it's just being able to reparent yourself. So starting with basics, maybe your parents didn't teach you how to keep a good diet for yourself, because that all contributes to mental health, or getting the right amount of sleep, being on a sleep schedule, because that really, really impacts mental health, and emotional regulation. So a lot of parents meant well, but when you were upset or you were in pain, a lot of things parents say is, you're okay, you're fine, and it all was in good character building, or what they thought, but it really made you feel unseen. It made you feel unheard. And because children are really adaptive, when you're not seen or you're not heard, you learn to push those emotions aside and you don't let them process through your body, and which is probably a way of survival or adapting, but you weren't able to feel emotions. And so something that you can do now that you're older is you can remember these experiences and go back and sit with that child and allow those emotions to be felt, and allow those emotions to be heard, and allow yourself to be seen. And I know it's a weird concept, but try this experience, this moment. Just try this with me. So think about a time when the trauma was too big. It was too much for you to handle, to process at that moment. And what we do a lot of times is when something happens, something hurts us, something's painful, somebody did something, broke your expectations, you start thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And when you do that, you automatically push that emotion aside. You're trying to get rid of it. You're trying to move on, and you don't just sit with that emotion of being hurt or being sad or in pain. And so if you allow yourself to think of that time that the emotion was just too big, you couldn't deal with it at the time, which is truly when trauma happens to us, the emotion's too big. So think about that time where you were. And for me, I was sitting on a doorstep and I was just crying, and all I was thinking is, what do I do now? What can I do? Like, I was just trying to process it, but like trying to think about what my next step was instead of sitting with that. And take yourself as your older self and go sit next to them in that moment. Put your arm around them and just sit with that emotion of being hurt and feeling that pain, and let that emotion be real, and let it process through your body. And understand that child, or that adult version of yourself, because trauma can happen when you're an adult. Someone breaks your expectations, somebody really hurts you, and you're just trying to survive by finding the next step that you have to take, when you really just need to sit with it and allow yourself, have compassion for yourself. It wasn't that you were weak. Your expectations were broke. Your heart probably felt broken. You probably felt numb. You could have felt so many things at that time because you didn't want to feel the pain. You didn't want to feel the hurt. And put your arm around that person and say, it's okay to feel what you feel, and just feel it. And you deserve this. You're worthy of it. And you're going to feel this to its full extent, because then you're able to come alive emotions again and feel all your feelings. And when you allow yourself to feel pain, and when you allow yourself to feel hurt, and it's a weird concept, but when you allow yourself to feel those at their fullest extent, then you allow yourself to feel happiness at its fullest extent. And you're allowing yourself to feel needed and wanted and loved, and all of those emotions so much more, because you're not pushing them out. It's allowing emotions to work in your life. And just go, you can even do this with a successful moment in your life. One time you hit that basketball shot and you won the game, or whatever it is, and at the time you wouldn't let yourself feel as good as you should have, because you felt undeserving of that. Go back to that moment and cherish yourself for the success that you had, and put your arm around that child and say, feel this. Let yourself feel happiness. You deserve it. You are willing to. You deserve this, and be there and be that parent. Be the parent to yourself that you never had, or that you needed or wanted. And it's not saying your parents are bad. It's not saying that they're horrible people, but they probably were not equipped to walk you through that. But you can do that for yourself now, and you're in a safe place to do it. A lot of times with trauma, it wasn't a safe place to work through that emotion. And when you're an adult and you can go back to that memory and sit with them, you're in a safe place to do it. You're going to be that safety for that child that child didn't have. Just give yourself 3 minutes to go sit with the child's version of yourself that was hurting and in pain, and allow that child to feel. And feel those emotions. And not tell them you're okay, you're fine, but just have compassion for yourself. And I think and be seen. Allow yourself to be seen. Allow yourself to be heard. Because that's truly all that children